Hello. I'm not used to these lapel mics, so I'm also not used to this crowd, so bear with me. But what I'm going to do is just kind of give you a little background about myself. Thank you so much for that intro. That was fabulous. And then we're going to go through the slides. And in the slides, there's a lot of information, so feel free to take pictures with your phone. I'm not sure if it's going to be able to be downloaded online, but we'll see if we can't figure that out. So yeah, welcome to this workshop. And actually, after I'm finished with the slideshow, I do want you guys to come up and interact with me. That's where I feel most comfortable, and then I can actually show you what I'm doing. So I'm going to show you guys some really pretty pictures. I've got some really good clients up there, a lot of local chefs and restaurateurs that I've worked in the past 3 or 4 years with here in San Antonio. And then we've got some, like I said before, Shake Shack and Hendrick's Gins. International clients that I really, really enjoy. When they come into San Antonio, they kind of all touch base with me and see if I'm available to do some stuff. A lot of it is at conventions and other kinds of things like that, but I'm going to show you what it looked like before. What the heck? I mean, so I don't even know what that is. I guess it's like a mushroom pizza or something to that extent. This was in New Orleans. That looks like, I don't even want to say it out loud. That's a margarita. Why is there a black straw in it and an orange napkin? And it was pretty bad 5 years ago. Anyways, what happened was about 3 years ago, I worked with a lot of marketing and PR firms in town, and somebody had called me on my way out of Central Market. I was ending my day and said, I have a restaurant that needs help. Can you go do food photography? It's going to be in food and wine. And I said, yeah. I'd never done it in my life. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. All I knew is that you always just say yes and you figure out how to do it later, but I had 2 hours to get there. I get to the restaurant and it was actually Brigid. I don't know if anybody is local in San Antonio. It's since closed, but I walk in and everything was a mess. The chef was about to have a nervous breakdown. The restaurant hadn't opened yet. The owner was on the floor scraping away and trying to clean everything real quick. And they just said, this is going to be in food and wine, right? You're the photographer. All right, here it is. So I spent 3 hours on 8 dishes. I had no idea what I was doing. I had one tiny window light, and I got home, and I lost my mind. I looked at all the photos, and I absolutely hated them. And I said, I can't send these. I was pacing back and forth in my apartment. I called my mom, and I was like, no, I can't do it. This is what they look like. And she said, it's not your best, but you have to do it. And pressed send on the email, and I got a response within 5 minutes that said, these are incredible. And I was like, what? This is awful. But they loved it, and I found that there was something there that I had to tap into. So I started slowly in the past 3 or 4 years really kind of getting a little bit farther away from executive portraits and portraits and things like that to move on to doing only food and beverage photography. I developed a lot of really tight connections with the local chefs and restaurateurs, and I just kind of said yes to everything, and I just became known for food photography. So what I'm going to do here is actually run through the basics that I kind of realize that I go through when I walk into a restaurant or a bar. These are pretty much key things, and I realized that I had a pattern. So these are all the things that I do the second that I walk into the restaurant. And the 3 key basics that you kind of just need to really focus on to make it a lot easier and make sure that your food photos are not like mine were before. So we're going to talk about lighting, the ideal lighting for food and beverage, and 3 different types of lighting, which is side, front, and backlit. And if I'm going too fast, just let me know. Y'all can slow down and y'all can take pictures of the slides. The second, which is really important, is space and angles. You obviously want to make sure that whatever you're walking into, your tabletop, your bar is clean, clear of clutter, no napkins, no dirty straws. It is one of my biggest pet peeves when I see an Instagram post and there's a dirty napkin in the corner. Just could have moved it outside just a little bit. And then I'm going to talk to you guys about post-process. I don't do a lot of post-processing. I try to get everything right in camera, and I know it's kind of hard with iPhones, but I'll be glad to talk to you about your iPhone photography if you guys want to come and ask me little questions, what you're having issues about. So yeah, let's get started. And so I'm going to demo these as I go through them, and then we can do the kind of interactive part together afterwards. Lighting. Unfortunately, we are in a convention center, so there is no natural light, but I've brought this in to simulate natural light. So this is going to be a window. Where I like to shoot is mainly windows, and actually doorways are a really good really good spot. If you're in a dark area, you can prop open a doorway and shoot down really, really easily, or you can even get down on the ground and kind of, it gives this like magical full frame light that comes through the door. And then you want to stay away from harsh shadows. Don't put it in the sun. Nothing looks good in the sun. Just, I mean, unless you're like a supermodel and you know work it, the sun is not your friend. I actually have had friends that will build a diffusion box and take it, if they're working like some sort of outdoor festival, they can actually build a box with white or have their diffusion box, bring it outside, and it actually coats it nicely. You just want to make sure that it's in the open shade. And one more thing that I didn't include here, you want to have one light source. In most restaurants and bars, there are tungsten lights, which looks like this. It's a yellow light. And you want to stay as far away from that as you can, because what your phone or your camera is going to do is color correct for one or the other. So your image might turn out green or a little bit blue, and you just kind of can't figure out why. It's definitely because of the light source. So if you see, I don't know if you guys have, does anybody work in marketing and PR? Yeah? Does anybody know like any food bloggers or Instagrammers that you guys seen them around, I'm sure, right? They're taking their plates to the light. They're taking it to a window. I mean, if they're smart, they're taking it to a window and kind of just working from that. And just kind of be mindful that sometimes too much light is not a good thing. You don't want to blow everything out because then you lose the detail in it. And I'll show you that on the next slide. So this is kind of a little bit difficult to see, but these are cherries. Berries are like the easiest thing to photograph. So if you want to practice at home, I suggest seriously getting a bowl of cherries. You can even put some water on them, make them really pretty. Darker cherries are really nice, and putting them in front of your light source so that you can kind of see which one works better. So side light, I'm going to demo this real quick. So this is actually my window. And when I say side light, everything's referring to the camera or your iPhone. So you're making my light flash. I love it. No, it's fine. It's good. So let's talk about side light. So I'm directly to the side. If this is my subject, let's put a couple of things in here. And you guys aren't going to be able to see my camera, but I'm just going to demo for you. So to the side, it's going to be directly to the side of your light source. So you just kind of focus and figure. And that looks gorgeous. You guys can't see it though. No, I'm just kidding. This light is actually my favorite. I feel like I'm kind of, I don't know if anybody had seen my Instagram or my work, but it's pretty dramatic. I like things to be moody. I like there to be an environment and a feel behind something, which is why I usually not only do side light, but I build an environment around whatever dish it is. Because I'm not a fan of like standalone things. So that's direct side light. And then I'm going to show you guys, we've got front light. Front light is pretty common in Instagram, I think, because most people just kind of throw it in there and just think, oh, if I light the whole thing, it's going to look great. But if you're shooting for chefs or a restaurant, you have to really be mindful of where the front of your dish is and also what kind of detail you want to come out of it. So like leafy greens are pretty difficult. If you front light them, everything blows out. But if you side light, you can see like the little crevices in the leaves and the broccoli and things like that, which we've got broccoli right here. So the front light is going to be right, if this is my window, I'm going to be right in front of it, so everything is blown out. So you just take a picture like this, and then your backlight is the actual opposite. And this is an interesting one. This right here, you see how this is the same, so let me just rephrase this. This is the same exact dish, same exact spot. I'm the only thing that moved. So I didn't move anything, I moved. So side, front, and then the back light. And look how much, you really get a lot of blown out highlights and not much detail in here. One way to fix that is to add add a white board in front of it, and you can actually reflect light into it if you'd like to. But this is also a style. So it's kind of just like finding your style, what works for you, your restaurant, your product, and things like that, because it's all really different. And actually, this last 6-week course that I taught, most of my students really like the backlight. I mean, it's just totally your preference. So the backlight is you're going to have the source of light directionally behind it, and then same thing, just take a picture. And it's totally different. All right. Does everybody have any questions? Y'all good? Okay. Space. This is one of my favorites. Please clean your space and declutter it before you start. I used to leave things on the table, and then I actually, as an artist, it drove me nuts because I'm trying to move things around, and I didn't understand what wasn't working, but actually it was that there was too much on the table. So if you start with nothing, so whatever restaurant you're going into, they've got napkins laid out, glasses and stuff, clear it off. Clear it all off. And then you can start one by one. You say, okay, well, I want this here. Well, then maybe I want a glass with it. And then maybe I want something in the foreground. And I want a napkin. I want it to look like somebody's been here. So you can add things in after the fact, but just start clear. Focus on the product. If you're trying to go into food photography or you want to do something for your bar or restaurant product, you need to be mindful of what the front of your product is. And I asked the chefs. I always ask the chefs which front is the dish, front of the dish. Because usually I'm wrong. And they're like, no, it's actually this one with the little drizzle here. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, that works out. Angles, okay. I know you guys have all seen, so like there's an overhead one here. That's one of my favorites. That's a Botica here. So this is an overhead shot. What I realized is that even though I was doing the same three things, I couldn't really understand like which worked best for the dish. Because a lot of things don't look good from overhead. So you can't really shoot everything the same way. So what I learned to do is do it 3 different ways, in threes. So then I would actually be able to find out what the good side of the product was. So I always do an overhead shot. I do a 3/4 shot, and then I do it directly to the side shot. Burgers are one really good example that look good from the side, but if I shot it from above, you wouldn't be able to tell what it was. So I'm actually going to show you all my secret weapon. I'm the girl that takes the step stool into every restaurant. I used to be really embarrassed about it. I was like, oh, people are going to make fun of me, or they're going to judge me because I'm standing on the chair trying to get the right angle. And then I was like, you know what? I'll just bring my own. They don't care. So I'm going to show you guys exactly how I do that. And there's a smaller step stool that I have that I keep in my truck that is actually a lot more portable. But for instance, I will, after I arrange something, I'll get up here. And if you have live view, iPhones are pretty good with this because they have a wide angle anyways in them, unless if you put it on portrait mode, which we can talk about that later too. But I'll just get above the dish. If I have live view, I can turn it on. And I can sort of see. This one tilts out just a little bit, but I usually just guess. I'll take a shot right here. Then I'll climb down in the same spot, and I'm just moving to 3/4. And I'll take a shot here. And now I can see more of the strawberries. And then I'll take one directly to the side. Let's see how that looked. Nice. So then there's 3 more. So I do from above, 3/4, and directly to the side. I also do wide, medium, and close up. So what I'll do is I'll take, if I have a wide angle lens, I use a standard 50 lens for the most part. If I'm doing, it's my friend Austin, he's pretty cool. If I'm doing like really product photography at HEB and we need to like get into a sandwich, it's going to be a 100mm lens, which I don't really walk around with, but I have it in the studio, so I use it that way. But I'll take a whole scene of the entire table, or wherever you're at. Then I'll come in and I'll go 3/4, medium, and then I'll get in to the environment and just pick out maybe one of the strawberries that I feel like looks the best. And so that essentially already gave me at least 12 shots. You don't need to overshoot. You just need to follow like the 3-3-3. I lost my thing. Okay. Post-process. Everybody's different. How many of you guys use Instagram? Yeah. Do you guys actually go into the edit feature? Y'all do. Yeah, of course you do. Anybody go into the edit feature? Do y'all know what I'm talking about? There's more than just filters there. This might blow your mind. Yeah, you do. You do. Okay, so in Instagram, so I only really do 3 things. I try to get it right again in camera what my view is, so I don't have to do most post processing. But you guys pull up your Instagram real quick, and we'll talk about this after. I want to show y'all something. So pull up a picture that you would like want to edit. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to find my burger picture that was just on. Here it is. All right, you're going to click, is everybody there? Okay, you're going to click Next. And right at the bottom, you're going to see what says Filter or Edit. And you're going to go to Edit. And you have all of these things that you can manually adjust and play with rather than just slapping a filter on it. So if you go to brightness, you can toggle it to the right, and it'll increase the exposure. Press Done. Structure, I don't really ever mess with anything with more than 3 things, and I'll show you guys. So that's pretty easy how to do. Structure is one that I do. Hello? Okay, sorry. I'm usually at a 30 or 40%. I feel like if you go over 40%, so if you slide that to the right, you'll see the number go up. Slide it all the way. I want to see what it looks like slid all the way. It's pretty intense, right? Yeah. So we want to stay at about 30 to 40 there. Otherwise, it starts to look like alien, and nobody wants to eat that, I promise. And then we're going to go to sharpen. I always sharpen my photos. Usually when I transfer my images from my camera, because I have a camera that does the Wi-Fi and I can do it in real time, I have to sharpen it a bit because there's a lot of information that gets lost in the transfer. So if I sharpen it a little bit, it looks like it's almost been taken in camera, and I'll stay about 50 to 60%. And again, this is just like your personal preference and your style. If you want to use a filter and you feel like you have been using a filter your entire time, and this is kind of just your jive, this is what you do, you can go I'll use gingham. I think that's the only one that I'll ever use, and I'll do it at maybe 10%. So if you click on the filter and click on it again, it'll show up how much it's actually coming up, and it's automatically set at 100. So if you scale it back, you tap. Sorry, this thing is. Oh, wait, testing. Hold on. Are you guys able to see that though on the Instagram? Yep. Okay.
Checking.
Hello. Thank you. Okay. Hello. Hello. Okay. Here we go. Sorry about that. Okay, so that's pretty much it for those things. But let's go to. This is what we're going to go over right now. So I would love for you guys to come up and just kind of go with me and interact, and feel free to use the step ladder. Don't get probably above the second one. That's probably as high as you want to go. And then we'll start going through what we did. So we're going to talk about lighting, clean and declutter, angles, and post-process, which is structure, sharpness, and filters. So does anybody want to come up and test out on this beautiful food spread that I made for you guys? No? Come on. This is the fun part. This is what I like to geek out on. And anybody have any questions about your camera, your iPhone that you're working on?
Is there a newer camera, one that's, because we have an older iPhone, is there one you recommend that's not going to break the bank?
What is it? What it's going to be used for?
Food.
So professional stuff like website and content,
Yes.
Advertising?
Yes.
Yes, I would get, so you have a Nikon.
We have an older style Nikon, yeah.
Do you have lenses for it?
Yes.
So get a Nikon.
Yeah.
I would suggest, I think the 3500 is really good. And then this is the one I use, but it's full frame, and I'm not sure if you need full frame. If you're going to do large printing, you probably need full frame. And this is which one is did I bring
I
today?
won't do any large printing. It'll be all online.
So just do the 3500. Look up the 3500.
Okay.
I think that does Wi-Fi too. Okay, so so now that we've got some people up here, I'm just going to actually get this a little bit closer, and I'm hoping that you guys will be able to see. Again, this is a little difficult to bring in here. You guys will be able to see the light of it. So if you can already see the shadows here, this is what the side light is going to give you. If you shoot from back that way, it's going to be blown out. And then if you shoot from this way, you're going to get it blown out. So what I like to do is try all three. So try to get me one from side light, try to get one from backlight, and then try to get one from front light. So just kind of work around the table, and then I can take a look at them. And don't be afraid to get in there. Yeah, that's pretty. Get in there. Y'all can eat some of this too after we're done. After we're done. I've been very tempted. Except for don't eat those. That's potpourri. But it looks pretty.
I do have a question.
Yes.
You mentioned portrait. So can you give us tips and tricks about using the portrait?
Yeah, do you want to pull it up? So I like portrait mode. So she's asking about portrait mode on your iPhone, if you guys have it. It's really good, but it also comes with a lot of downfalls. The blur effect, so what it's actually doing is simulating your depth of field. So it was really hot to do like bokeh effect and all those things, but what happens is, like let's say you have like a straw that's coming out of a drink, and it'll just put a blur on half the straw because it can't see it, or whatever. So be mindful of that. What my trick to do is pull the subject away from the background as far as you can, and don't have it white. I like portrait mode because it's almost like a 1-to-1 ratio. So rather than your natural wide angle lens on the iPhone, it being like trying to catch everything, it actually hones in on what you're supposed to do, which is really great. So do you have any questions like specifically about it?
No, I was just wondering.
I would save it for the close-ups. Like if you're going to do a cocktail and it needs an environment, like La Cantera is one of my clients, and they wanted to feature their cocktails, but we did like chips and salsa on the side and some fajitas in the back. So if you kind of stagger things around, like let's say you get this, and this is what you want to feature, like make sure it's pretty far from the background and make sure there's not too much white, so you want color and things like that. And then you can move things around accordingly and then shoot it that way. And then generally that should be okay. But I wouldn't do, and you're supposed to be pretty far away from the subject, right? It's like 6 feet or 5 or 6 feet. Yeah. Just when it starts looking weird, then that's when you know. But I would save that for like the close-up feature images. I wouldn't do anything I wouldn't do a tablescape on that. Because like if you wanted to do a whole environment like from above, you want to get all the information that you can. Yeah. And they have lenses. I don't know if you know. They have like attachable lenses. I haven't used one of those in forever.
I'll be selling packaged meals, and
Of course.
so on the website where I have a picture of what the meal's going to be, I want to plate it. Square, round plate. What's
Depends on the dish. And we go through that. We spend like an hour at HEB trying to figure out our props. Because,
It's home style food.
Yeah.
So, you like mashed potatoes.
well, I would stick
vegetables.
with round.
Okay.
I think that if it's square, it's a little modern,
Yeah.
and like people might be confused. However, we just did.
And I'm not doing tons of no garnish.
Right.
I actually want it's a base meal. People take it home. I want them to add their flourish to it.
Right.
So I don't want to put garnishes on it and then go,
And
hang on.
it doesn't come with it.
there."
No, yeah, you have to be really mindful
so
of.
it's very plain looking.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how to.
And you just did have it on a white background.
Well, that's my other question. I haven't taken them yet, so.
Well, you
Round
could create an environment for it,
Yeah.
or you could just do. Oh, here we go. Yay! Oh yeah, we're gonna do that now. So if y'all have any questions, we're gonna come to the microphone so that we can hear them. So I think that it depends. So when you think about it, what do you see? Do you see it being in an environment, or do you see just white?
I guess I envision pictures of a family sitting down eating a meal because it's family style, home style meal. I'm actually going to be 3 servings and up.
Right.
not this individual servings that get mailed out.
Right.
So in my mind, ultimately for advertising, I see families eating, I see a table that's set. I'm trying to bring people back to the dinner
So
table.
yeah,
But for the actual product, when they go on to buy it,
you just want e-com.
just e-com. I'm not quite sure, you know, you've got a square, do I fill it with a round plate? And the food, it's not going to be garnished, so how do I make it look attractive?
Don't.
Okay.
I'm like, that's the age-old question. I mean, essentially, you're just showing people what it is.
Yes.
You're showing them the ingredients. I'd say plate it well.
Yeah.
Keep it clean.
Yeah.
And just be mindful of like, I mean, you're going to be doing it yourself.
Yes.
Yeah. So like, that
Yeah.
that does not go well. So you got to make sure that everything's
Clean
just
it
super
off.
clean. And then just play with the layout of the food.
White plate on white background?
No, I mean, it would look
On a
like it's
cutting
floating.
board?
It'll look,
Like,
I would
like
do a
the
cutting board.
things look good.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so do a white plate on a cutting board
Yeah.
on a background, and then if you wanted to, you could punch those out and take it,
Yeah.
knock them out and take them to a different environment if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, absolutely. Question?
Yeah, well,
Yes.
thank you for sharing
Of
all
course.
this with us today.
Sure.
We do a lot of catering and
Yeah.
buffet lines, and buffet lines don't come out well.
Don't.
Yeah, I mean, they
Yeah, it's a hard
they
one.
well suck, yeah.
Yeah.
You're gonna give us tips and help to make magic?
So are you wanting, when you're doing these photos, are you trying to get like the whole line of buffet?
Sometimes, yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes we need the whole setup so people know what they're gonna be buying in the future. Sometimes I need the dish itself.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of what I would do is I would have the setup, take shots of the overall setup, like I said here, wide, medium, and close up. You can even go on the line of, get to the side of the buffet and get the line
All
of
the way
all of it. Because that looks a little bit more because you've got that line created, and then you can see the other things in it and the rest of them. And then I would do close-up shots of the food.
down of the food.
Yeah, so meat's a little tricky, and then I would do plated shots. So I would do the environmental shots, then I would do close-ups of the food in it, like kind of maybe a ladle or something like that. And then I would do plated shots afterwards.
Okay.
I mean, just cover the whole spectrum. And then wherever you're gonna plug them in, they actually look kind of nice together. It's not just like one
Yeah, do the series.
in-your-face picture of, a trough of meat. It's like meat, and then this is what it looks like plated, and then this is what it looks like when we set up for you.
Yeah, I like the series thing.
Yeah.
That'll make the difference. So thank you very
Yes,
much.
of course. All right, I'm gonna stop for 1 second and just talk about these. Yes.
Could you put your information back on the screen?
Yes, yes.
Thanks.
Oh, I've lost it. Thank you. Thanks, Jordan.
And we partnered with them, and
All right.
so
Oops.
I can give you some tips.
Yeah, that's my info. Okay. So are y'all seeing the difference? I have two microphones in my hands. Sorry. Are you guys seeing the difference with just that one light, right? Okay, so remember, you want to keep it natural light, stay away from the tungsten. So like, there's always overhead light in restaurants. You're gonna get like a weird reflection on the plate. It's gonna be like an orange dot. It's gonna drive you nuts. Will drive me nuts. And then your phone or your camera won't color correct. So if you just keep one light source, you're pretty much safe. Yeah? Cool. Yes?
So, I'm a cook, so shooting in the kitchen in a banquet space. We have no windows.
Do you have a door to the kitchen that leads you outside? What?
The only door
Where
outside
are
is
you?
to the loading dock.
Loading dock is actually good. I've shot photos in a loading dock before. You can raise the dock. Does the dock go outside?
Yeah, but like
Would that be a pain in the butt?
dumpsters. And
So you don't need it because all you're doing is shooting down.
yeah,
So and tell me if I'm wrong, if I'm picturing this, is it concrete?
yes.
Yeah, okay. So you can raise that dock window and like that's your set. Like you could set this up right there or whatever your dish is. And like I would just honestly put it on the floor. No, I'm not even kidding. You wouldn't believe like the where I've photographed things. They're like, what? I'm like, yeah. Put a napkin around it. And we don't have a silverware, but put some silverware around and then let me get my phone. Or I'll get my camera. And then you can do, if you stay at overhead and 3/4, you can knock out a ton of photos. So you can just do this. Get my foot out of it. So you can just do that. And then, I mean, depending on what the background is, it's a little underexposed. And then you can go to the side and get, something like a side shot or a detailed shot. I'm just showing her like, you don't have to be, and sometimes actually being above it this high is kind of worth it. Does that answer your question? Android people, you guys. I don't know anything about an Android. I'm so sorry. Yes. Here. Now you're on display with me.
Sure, that's all right. What tips do you have for creative photo shoots? I have a fast food client, and so there's like 8 menu items.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of specials. Like another restaurant
Yeah.
client, they have weekly specials, so it's always a different plate,
Yeah.
stuff like that. But how do you take pictures of a very limited menu and make it
Fun.
interest? Yes, months and months
Shake
into
Shack.
the road.
So I did that with Shake Shack. Let me go back to, I'll show you up here. So he's asking, like if you have a limited menu and it's like maybe 8 items and it doesn't change much, it's a fast food chain. That's the same thing I did with Shake Shack. And what I ended up doing was, I'm kind of a geek about what I do. I actually really love it. So I mood board stuff. I look online and I'm like, what are the Instagrammers doing these days? So I'm going to go back to square one. So this right here, those are shakes. You just you put them in front of a wall. I mean, everybody loves a colored wall or textured wall. No, but it looks like it. It's right outside. This one up here, that's on one of their, this is a little logo that I saw, or a little brand that I saw in their table. And so I was like, I'm just going to get above it. I'm going to trickle some fries down. I love playing with my food. So like, this is really clean for me. What I really wanted to do was like put seeds everywhere and like get crazy, but I know some people don't like that. So I would say just think outside the box. What can you do to make things? This Bakery Lorraine is down here. You can only see half the photo, but that's a stack of donuts, on a black background. I bring a lot of my props also, so I bring my backgrounds with me and I make my own at home. So I'll go to Home Depot and get, a 2.5 by 2.5 plywood. I'll spackle it, spray paint it, just whatever texture I feel like using, stain it, and you just kind of make it an art project. I mean, it doesn't have to be so rigid, and you have to think outside the box for people start to notice. And let me see if I can think of another one. Environmental. So this donut. Are you guys from San Antonio? How many are from San Antonio? Yeah. Well, a few. Wow. Yeah. All right. Did you ever know the Ginger Snap? She's a famous Instagrammer influencer, but she's also like, she made these epic donuts, and people were like out the door lining up to have her donuts, and she's like the sweetest thing ever. But what we did is instead of just having like a product shot, we created an environment. So I got flour out and a dirty spoon and her actual glaze, and let's like just kind of make it interactive so that people are like, rather than it's just a donut by itself, it's like, oh, what's happening with the donut? I want to be there. I want that donut. It's all about just kind of like connecting with your audience. Yeah, for sure. I do. I actually have a stylist at HEB, which is really nice.
Okay, that's what's so tip for that, because I'm getting into styling
Yeah.
a lot now.
Really?
But I'm doing it smaller scale
Yeah.
on my own side.
Yeah.
And so, like,
Oh, wait.
equipment yeah.
Sorry.
Do you have any,
So she's asking about styling. So I'm just going to preface this by saying when I go to a restaurant or a bar, I call them and I say, can you please have like an assortment of things ready, whatever the ingredients are. I want 10 limes. I need spices, salt and pepper on the side. Whatever is in the dish, I ask for extra, so they can put aside for me so that I can actually style. And so your question.
More so, as far as equipment, like tips that you would have for styling, if you're going into a place and they don't have a stylist.
Marshalls and Ross.
Okay.
Seriously. So I got in World Market. I buy a lot of. It's an investment. So you buy a lot of your own stuff. And I mean, I got these things at Ross, 4 of them for like $4. Anything I see, I'll pick up that I like. This is not even supposed to be microwaved or used. It's just for display. But I think I got this at TJ Maxx. And you can buy some nice stuff too. But just kind of build your collection. And if I had a shoot at Sangria on the Berg the other day, or I guess it was a couple months ago. And I looked at the restaurant and I didn't see any like attitude that I wanted to like portray this sangria flight with. And so I did 2 backgrounds, so I made them. I went and picked out the color at Home Depot and then made the backgrounds, and I was able to just do it real quick there, and it had a pop of color. So just keep being creative. Don't be afraid to do that. No. And a lot of one thing I will say is that if you want to stay true to whatever the product or the brand is. If I brought in like this bowl for like Whataburger, it doesn't, it just doesn't make sense. But and they wouldn't have it on a plate anyways. But more like parchment paper, or the yellow paper. Ask for extras of those. Whatever you think that you might be able to utilize, and you might not use it all. When half the time I don't, but you're able to have more options, and you don't feel so like frantic. And then you can create it for what you think it is.
Also, a question about maybe like affordable lighting and different things like that. If a lot of my photos are more for personal like blogging, so it's not as large scale. I
Right.
don't necessarily need.
Do you see yourself getting bigger?
Oh yes. in
So
the
I would
future.
get like these lights are great. These are so I don't use I use only natural light for the most part. And if I do, now I don't because HEB I use studio lights, but natural light for the most part. And then I'll pop in a little bit of flash, but it's usually not the case. I usually try to stick with natural light or what are they called? Reflectors. Einstein's are great. You can take a picture of that and Google it. You can start out with 2 lights. All right, so I'm going to show you guys, I'll have more questions in a minute, but I'm going to show you guys, we're going to run through the different angles that I want you to do. And I think I want you guys to stay on this table because it's got most of the light. So we just did front, side, and back. Does anybody have any questions on the light? Nope? Okay. So front, side, and back, we got that covered. And then now we're going to go to, ew, why is that on there? It's awful. Gross. I mean, that was 5 years ago. I can't believe. I just wasn't into it then. Okay. Light direction. So clean and declutter. Like I said, you can't really do it here, but you want to start out with a blank canvas. And find the product's good side, whatever that is for you. The different angles. This is really important. So again, I'll show you like basically exactly what I'll do. So I've got usually I'll have everything set up. I don't really ask for the dishes a lot at the same time. I'll get them one at a time, and if they still keep and they look good, I'll form them into it. If something starts to set or to drip, I'll ask the chef to make another so that I can have a tablescape. And so then what I do with that is, I literally do this for an hour. So let's pretend this is my tablescape. So I go wide, I go medium, and then I go up close. Then I get on my trusty step stool, and I go one from above, one from the side angle down, and then I go directly to the side. And I like to do this for everyone, even if it doesn't warrant it, just so that I know I've got it covered. Because the repetitive makes me know that, and I still to this day will go home and be like, oh my God, did I forget to shoot that? Did I forget to shoot it? No, I didn't. I never forget to shoot it, but I'm like that spastic about it. So yeah, I want you guys to try that. I don't know how many people are going to be able to do the step stool, but if you can just raise from above and then to the side and then angle down. I think that's super important. And it basically ensures that you've covered all your bases. And you don't ever know what's going to look best. I mean, you just don't. I've been wrong 1,000 times where I think something looks good. Pizza's really hard. Pizza's really hard. And also to that point, when I have like everything set up on my table, I do that same thing and I walk around. I just move myself. I'm the only thing that moves. I walk around to this side and I've got 20 new shots. And then I walk around to this side and I've got 20 new shots. And then I walk around to this side and I got 22 shots. And as long as I'm the only one that's moving, there's different lighting around every single subject, and there's different angles around every single subject. So it looks totally different, but also, I mean, similar is a similar thing. So you can come in and focus on the broccoli, come in and focus on the broccoli, and then that's one shot. And then you can literally just move right here, and you can focus on the salami and have the broccoli in the foreground blurred out, and that's another shot. So you're providing all of these images for yourself, for your client, that, on one tablescape. So it does take a while to set up, but it's totally worth it, and that's kind of my secret. People think I just, spend hours and hours on that, but if I just set it up one time, I usually have it. Also, another really good thing is if you're doing things for your own company, if you create a tablescape, and let's say that you have, sir, that was a very loud laugh. I'm just kidding. It was good. It made me smile. So if you have, let's say you're shooting a Thanksgiving spread or something like that, and you have 6 meat items. Let's say you do turkey, prime rib, all that stuff. You can actually keep everything the same. The lighting is the same, and switch out the protein. Or keep the protein the same, switch out the sides. So you're essentially just setting yourself up to do that shot. So who wants to come practice? Does anybody want to try it, so I can show you the different, how it looks from above, side, and directly to the side? This guy. Y'all can all come. You can all swarm around. Hi. All right, so you have an Android?
Yes.
Cool. Okay, so on the Android, does it have the portrait mode feature like it does? I don't want you on it, but.
These are the different ones I can do.
Okay, so I'm a big fan of shooting your images with as much information as you can get, because you can always crop. And there is a trick. I think people say that you should shoot Instagrams vertical, because if you shoot them horizontal, you don't get as much of a crop. You can't crop out. So if you shoot things vertically, portrait style, you're able to get a little bit more. So what you would do is you would take a shot of the table, and you just kind of work around, see what shot looks best. Usually, again, it's in a restaurant, so that you've got pretty accents in the side, other windows in the back. And then you'll go a little bit closer up, so you go to right here. Yep.
Try to get everything.
Whatever you want. This is your show. Yeah, that looks good. Oh, that's nice. Yep. And then, yep, that's great. So then for this dish, get a little bit closer. See, yeah, that looks awesome. Oh, zooming in. I never zoom in. I don't zoom in because, again, it's about the information that's lost. When you're zooming in, you're losing the quality of it, and you can actually see it. I mean, if you take a picture of this just now from above, and then you zoom in and you take a picture, it gets grainy, and, you just kind of lose all the detail. And then, so I'm going to have you then just go only to the second one, because I don't know the liability. I don't have insurance. I'll hold it for you. Yeah.
Would it be better to do like this or still portrait?
I would get as much of the table as you can, and you can go a little. Don't be afraid to go over a little bit. Yeah. And try to keep your lines straight. So, yep, I know that's hard. There's a lot to learn. Sorry if I'm overloading you guys. Yep. And then you're going to come to just about your chest, or a little bit lower. Yep. And you can do that way. You can do, for this one, you can do. And then you're going to get off. And then you'll go directly to the side. So so just pick whichever one you want to focus on. Yeah, that looks great. Yeah, that looks awesome. Okay, so let's look at all 3 of them.
So that was close up one.
Mm-hmm.
First one and then
Oh, see, that looks awesome. Yeah, that looks great. Yay. Good job.
looks good.
Look at that. Whoa. Good thing I have a job now. There's so much competition. Anybody else? Y'all want to come try it? Get on the step stool? It's really fun. All right, fine. Thank you. Do y'all have any questions so far? Oh, I'm almost closing out here. Um, so let's do, all right, I kind of already went over this. The post-process, I think this is going to be a little bit of a lengthy step, but I'd love to hear about any of you guys' like challenges with Instagram, or does anybody have any questions for me directly about post-processed issues?
Okay, so my question has to do with once you have all your photos, what are the next steps, like specifically in terms of, okay, you put them onto your desktop or your computer.
Yeah.
What's your file folder structure and how, because you know what I'm saying? So if you're shooting
Yes.
15 dishes, how do you have it to where, you know, it's easily searchable later on,
Yeah.
none of them are lost?
Cataloging,
Yes.
the bane of my existence. No,
Mine
but for
too.
real, I catalog. I'm pretty simple. So what I'll do is I get my camera, I import the images into Lightroom. I use Lightroom. A lot of people use Capture One. Same thing. You're basically creating a folder for your session. It's pretty user-friendly. Your session number, whatever you're going to name it, and then in Lightroom, it's the same thing. You import and you create a file name. So it batch renames all your files. I like Lightroom a little bit better in that regard when I'm working for myself because I can easily see all the images at once. I mean, it is like a darkroom, Lightroom. I'll name them based on the client and the date reversed. So I don't know how I can say this to you guys, but it's like today's the 16th, July 16th, 2018. Reverse those numbers. So it's 8012, blah, 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 blah. And the number always changes. So I'll have, let's say, Shake Shack _ then the number. And then it'll dash to the file number. I import them all into my 2018 folder, let's just say. And then I'm able to, I always keep all the raw files because I have had people be like, oh, remember that one photo you took that I didn't like that I said you could delete? I want it. And I'm like, oh. So I never delete any files. I transfer everything immediately. And then I back that up. So I've got 2 sets of raw files. Then I edit. So I'll edit mainly in Lightroom. And I have Lightroom Mobile, which essentially is the same things as Instagram. I'll adjust the structure or clarity, the sharpness and the filter. Then I'll, excuse me, export those into their own folder. So I'm not looking around for a ton of things. And if I do any Photoshop files, I'll have them in their own folder too. Does that help you out a little bit? Yeah. Keep a hard drive, an external hard drive, and just name them by name and then, you know, some sort of number that you've made up. Good?
Thank you.
Would you hand that to her? Thank you.
I just had a question. Do you ever do, like you specifically, when you take pictures, do you ever do anything to the food? Like if it's something
Yes.
that's stuffed, do you cut it open and?
Yeah. So that was one of like my biggest hurdles as a photographer is that I was very timid. So like 3 years ago, so let me just give you a quick backstory. 5 years ago, I was in New York City working for an executive portrait company, and I worked with lawyers, and I did big law. I took photographs of big-time lawyers, people you see on TV all the time. And I was told by my boss at the time, and I was very timid at the beginning, you just gotta get in there and adjust their tie and figure it out. They don't care. And so I was like, oh, well, that's like assaulting someone, but I guess I'll try. And I did, and they actually really appreciated it. And so what I learned about food is that I was so concerned that the chefs would get upset or TO'd at me that I was messing with their food or whatever. But what I realized is the more authority and like assertiveness I had with it, because I had a vision, they actually really respected it. And because they don't want to do it, they don't know how to do it. They just want you to take a picture of their food and make it look good. And so I started bossing people around, and I started moving things around, and I would cut things. And if I messed up, I would ask for another dish. You know, I think that comes with being more confident in what you're doing. But I had a girl, she was the sweetest in my last 6-week course, and she would take a plate and she'd be like, I don't want to touch it. And it's just us, it's like 6 people, and we're just hanging out. She's like, I don't want to mess with it. What if I don't like it? I'm like, well, move it back. If you don't like that here, you can just move it back. But there's like a mental block with it because you think it's not yours. But at the end of the day, you're doing not a favor, but you're doing your craft in order to capture something for someone. And they're grateful. So that's kind of just a mental thing. I'd absolutely move it around and just, make sure there's enough food to go around. I mean, you don't want to like cut the turkey and that's the only turkey. You know what I mean? Like, oops, sorry, that's all we got. But one thing I do is I've gotten into these like deconstructive shots because again, like I'm an artist through and through, and that's how I play around. And so I'll make sure I got all my angles and shots on that dish, and then I'll just really mess it up. I mean, I'll cut into it, I'll eat part of it. Well, I actually never eat in front of my clients, so that's a lie. But I'll just mess it around. I'll get gooey and messy, and I'll throw stuff everywhere. And a lot of the times they like it. Some people don't. But then I'm like, I feel fulfilled, and it's fine. It works out. So absolutely mess with your food. Play with your food. That's my favorite part, for sure. Anyone else? Yes. Let me give you the microphone. I'm coming right up to the camera. Sorry.
So this food all has structure, but what about something like tacos?
Ooh.
One taco.
Tacos are hard. Ooh, tacos are hard.
Enchiladas?
Enchiladas, yep. So I had to shoot Hakala for San Antonio Magazine, and I remember there's no good way to do enchiladas with chili sauce on it. Really, really diffused light, and what that means is, yes, you're by a window. I wish I had some of my equipment I could show you, but you want it really, really soft. The softer the better, because what it's going to do is actually it's going to just make the harshness of the dish a lot less. You can actually pull it away from the window. That's what I would suggest, because the closer you get to it, you're going to get reflections off the sauce and the meat, and it's going to look really weird. So like, let's say this is your window. I would move it to like right here and just kind of get away from everything. If you have what is called a diffusion flat, which is essentially this thing, but it pops out, you can put that in front of the window as well, or a curtain. A white curtain works really well. And a little bit of backlight. The enchiladas are better if they're already in the sauce. They're better shot from the side, because otherwise from above you don't really know what it is. So if you get like the front end of it and it's got like cheese coming out or meat, you can go directly to the side. You just got to kind of play with your angle. Tacos, same thing. Tacos are either, you can have them in those cute little trays, maybe something to prop them up. Or, I mean, I use putty. There's like so many things that I use. Like, I've used a candle before to prop up a burger. But if you put them face up, you can sprinkle the garnish and kind of get like a little creative with the top view. But also you can lay them to the side and stack them, like maybe one or two. I would do parchment paper or tin foil, however they come in. I'm not sure how you do it. Tin foil? That's fine. So you can crinkle it and make it look, not so structured. And do like 3. And then just shoot to the side and see how that looks. But I think definitely to the side is going to be your best bet. I think we're almost done. Do you guys got everything pretty much? You understand? Yes. And this is the Q&A. We'll do questions, and then I can demonstrate on people if I need to.
So you mentioned that you take pictures in RAW. Before you send them to your clients, do you save them as a JPEG when you send them to them?
Yes, so what I do is I proof. So I will batch out the image, selects is what we call them. So I'll go through, the 100 images. So usually I tell my clients I'm only going to give you 20 or 15 to 20, final retouched. So what I'll do is I'll batch out the RAW to JPEGs, save them really small, like 3x4, 4x5 at 300. Oh, I'm sorry, no, like 200, 150 to 200, and then I send those via, I have a thing that I use called Pics, which is a really pretty viewing gallery. Those are for my high-end clients, or I'll do Dropbox if it's just a one-off real quick. And then they can choose which ones they want retouched.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then one more question also. So when you're doing your editing on Instagram, do you feel like if you're taking a picture with a professional camera, does it mess up the quality of the picture?
So it's totally different. Let me just take this sip of water real quick. People can tell if it's a professional photo or not. They might not know why it looks different, but they can tell. So like National Geographic is one of the big ones that I always refer to, because like, come on. I'm not, I'm not in Reykjavik where there's a whale, and but, like everything is like totally perfect, right? But the quality of the glass that they're using is like exponentially greater than our iPhones, so it's not really attainable. So the viewer's like, yeah, I appreciate it, but it's not very interactive. So what I kind of do is I'll do it a little bit lower res, like my camera photos, I'll save them a little bit lower res so that I have to add the sharpness and clarity in Instagram. So I'm not just photoshopping the heck out of my photo and posting it. I'm doing all the editing here so that it is accessible. So people can actually see the different variations, they just might not know why. So yeah, I'll do all my editing on the phone. Because it's, nobody, I mean, I'm a big fan of like seeing what's real. If there's like some gelato in Italy, I want to be like, oh, if I go to Italy, I want to do that photo. I want to post that. You know, see, and a lot of times I do use my phone. Yeah. Sometimes it's better, and I'm like, what?
Well, thank you.
Anybody have any questions regarding your phones or anything else? Hi. How are you? Good.
My question, it moves away from Instagram, but for like thumbnails, doing thumbnails for YouTube. So you have that one picture that's going to draw somebody in when there's a list of pictures on the side. You know, what makes your thumbnail pop to get them to say, oh, that's the one I want to watch next?
I think the quality of the photo. I think that if it's clean, like when I'm online shopping, I want to look for I want to see what the product is. And you'll lose me if it's in like some crazy beautiful environment. I'm like, where is it? If it's just like, I like those pants. I wonder what they look like from the backside. Done. It's in my shopping cart. I mean, that's what I feel like. So clean, simple, white, bright photos. What is it specifically that you're?
Oh, well, I have a pretty good growing YouTube channel. So when I do my thumbnails, that's one thing that really draws people. The title and the thumbnail is what brings people to my YouTube page. So that's what you really want to concentrate on, having that great thumbnail.
So the thumbnail's from your video?
Yes, either that or what I'll do is after the creation, I'll take it and I'll take pictures from all angles. I'll take 20 or 30 and then try to pick the best one that I think for that thumbnail.
Yeah, I think that's the right way to do it.
Yeah.
I think people is it food?
Yes.
So I think that people tend to want to be invited into something, like an environment. So if you actually created an environment, like you said, you take 10 to 20 photos of the stuff. If you created a really pretty just thumbnail image, there's a ton of food bloggers on there's a guy called Skylar, I forgot his last name, but his blog is called We Eat Together, and it's absolutely incredible. And that's something that that you could actually learn from him, how to like style a certain image and then be able to use that thumbnail to pull people in. Just make it interesting, something that you would want to be invited to. Like, come watch this video. This is what I've got. Like, do you do like drinks, or is it?
Occasionally drinks, but mainly it's all food items.
Yeah, to create an environment for it and see how that happens. See how that works. Like maybe if it's what kind of food?
It's a lot of it's barbecue, hamburgers, brisket,
easy.
ribs. Yeah.
So let's put like the brisket or hamburger in the front, and then you just kind of add little elements, barbecue sauce, pickles, blah 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 in the background.
So you think it'd be better to do a wider shot with that than, hey, let me see that brisket up?
You can do close up.
Yeah, I do a lot in an outdoor kitchen. So it's in a shaded, natural light.
Yeah. I think that you could just make the brisket the hero.
Yeah.
The hero of the shot, and you can just have things in the background falling away. So you are actually focused in it, but it's not like suspended in space. There's an environment there that you're not seeing. It might not be in focus, but there's like the green of the pickle, or what have you. You're setting it up. The bread in the background, But yeah, I would Google. What did I Google the other day that was really? I think that We Eat Together guy. Keep that in mind and go look at his stuff, because he'll show you exactly how to like that stuff.
Fantastic.
Yeah, of course. Yes. Come on.
If I stood in front of the speaker, it would go great. All right, so I run a frozen yogurt shop, basically. We have a lot more than that, but that's the basic concept.
Yeah.
So I'm photographing a lot of ice cream and toppings, and it melts, and it's a pain in the butt. The other question that I have is plating it. it comes in a cardboard cup in
Right.
the shop, so should I use props and plates and make it look amazing, or photograph it in what it comes in?
I think that you should photograph it when it comes in, unless you're trying to do some sort of like upscale, because it's like froyo, right? It's frozen yogurt shop, and you go in with the thing and you pick your things out, and yeah.
You just have gelato and sorbet.
Ooh, that's nice.
150 toppings.
Gelato and sorbet.
It's all soft serve like frozen yogurt.
Right.
But it's the other products as well. So it's not just frozen yogurt, but it's all the same consistency.
Well, I would say then for the gelato, maybe put it in a bowl, like a lot of the times, if you're shooting close up, you can't really tell what the bowl is. So if you shot it in a nice white bowl, you would be able to like get the side of it. So shoot right in here, and you can get the gelato here. Ice cream is really tough. We actually just shot ice cream, and our stylist had to scoop in the walk-in.
Well, I have to show
And then she transported them to another freezer in the studio.
it's all soft serve. So that's probably one
Oh,
of
that's
the
great
best
though. But it
that
does
I've
melt
done.
fast, huh?
Yeah, it melts really fast, and that's in a light box.
Yeah.
Because I'm working in my
Sure.
kitchen.
Right.
But
Yeah, I think those are great. I
but
think
those are in the cups they come in. The question is pictures like this, where it's in something that it would never come in.
Well, I like that too. I think for standard like e-com stuff, I think that you should stick with the cups.
Okay.
But for fun stuff like this, if you want to dress it up, absolutely.
Just don't do this as often as.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, that can't be like your whole.
Because I had started buying plates
That's
and
beautiful,
dishes
yep.
and stuff like that, but it would never come this way
Right.
in the restaurant.
And that's okay. But I think that if you're going to feature something, or you want to just do, a couple shots of that, but it can't be your whole line.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like the Shake Shack thing, like take them outside. Were you here for this? So I have a picture of, I was only able to use what was in front of me. So oops. I was covering it. That right there. So just kind of it doesn't have to be in the box. You can play with it and make it more, I don't know, interactive, But definitely, I like some of those being nice and structured and like really pretty.
Okay.
Yeah.
Afterward, if you've got a minute.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, there's the plate of barbecue. Beep. You can't really see it, but there was a close-up one that was in the magazine, I promise. Okay, anybody have any more questions? That kind of went by fast. It's my guy. I'm just kidding. No, don't be sorry.
And you made me think of one more. Sorry. Okay, I'm back in my place now. So the photo on the top left made me think of. So how do you incorporate working with models and food?
So usually it is the marketing or PR firm that's hired me. There's usually like 10 of them. And for this was the marketing firm for Francis Bogside. And I just have them kind of sit in. It's a little bit difficult. Models I usually have hired for lifestyle shoots, but a lot of the times the client doesn't have the budget. And it just kind of, you got to just wrangle in. I do a lot of the work for the Historic Pearl. And a lot of times I'll just invite my friends. I'm just like, come on. If you can be here
Free
from 10 to
food type
6
of
p.m.,
thing.
yeah.
And then when they're there, what kind of positions? Like I see that's a nice overhead shot down into the food, but like especially with my fast food client, I'm trying to figure out how, because I've noticed I've done some lifestyle photos that didn't do that well on my Instagram, and so I think it's like you did a good job there. Of the food is still the focus, and
Right.
it's nice so are there tips on how to frame those shots where the food is still the focus of the photo, but you're still getting some human element in there?
You just have to play around. So this took me a while because I couldn't, for like 10 shots, I couldn't see the fries. I'm still not really very happy with this because I can't see the French fries. But I mean, I couldn't do it anymore. I was like getting so tired. It was like, ugh. But I would have liked to see more fries here. So it's kind of just, you just got to play around. And that's, I think, my biggest, should be your biggest takeaway. It's like, you just got to play around. You got to try all the elements and all the angles. And once you have a system in play for how you want that to go for whatever, job that you're on, it's a lot easier because you make sure your bases are covered. Like everything's, for the most part, taken care of. And I try not to Photoshop anything. Oh yeah, here's the candle. There's a candle. That's behind Chef's hand. He was like propping it up with the candle. Let me see if there's anything else I can talk about with this. So yeah, that's from above right here. This is from almost from to the side. Because if I shot it from above, the tuna poke looked, you couldn't tell what it was. It was just, you couldn't see all the layers in it. This pizza was really fun. It was really wet, but it was right out of the oven, and I got a lot of good steam from that. And here's another one from the side. These are mussels. And then, yeah. Oh, take your straws out, please. So I don't know why my black straw's in there, but if you take the straw out of the drink, it's so much prettier. I guarantee it. And it's almost like, I did it for so long, but it's an amateur move. Just take it out. Get rid of the plastic. Actually say no plastic, because that's what we're doing now. I tell restaurants, please don't bring me a plastic straw. Save the earth. That's where we're going. Anybody else? Anyone? Yep. All right, let me get that microphone over to her. Thank you. You have a question?
Yeah, I had a question.
Okay.
Sorry.
We'll go you and then it's you? Okay.
Do you ever mess with like ISOs or f-stops?
Yes, all the time. So I shoot everything on manual, and I didn't want to get into it because it's like, it took me like a year and a half to learn that scale. Does anybody use like a professional camera here? Yes, so you all use it on manual? Yep, I do. So sometimes the restaurant is too dark, and I'll have to shoot at a higher ISO. I try not to go above 800, and I try to stay around the 200 range, just in general. When I'm shooting food, I'll probably shoot, if I'm shooting from above, I'll shoot at f16, just to get everything in focus. If I'm shooting from the side, I don't go below f4. You lose a lot of detail in like the other thing. f4 is like just enough to where you can get all this in focus and you still create the blur. But if you go to like 1.2 or 1.4, I mean, you get like a hair that's in focus, and then the rest of it is like, what was the point? So I'm constantly working with those two. I usually keep my f-stop the same, and I'll adjust my shutter speed, just accordingly. My shutter speed and ISO. Yeah.
You probably already mentioned this, but is this PowerPoint available somewhere?
I don't know, and I'm not sure if they're going to put it online. But if you want, you guys want me to run through it so you can take pictures of it real quick in case it's not online? Do your phone?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah? Yeah, come up. Well, you can come up to the front up here. So I'll go through this again, and then I'm going to be around if you guys have any questions. You can come up and ask. Oh yeah, if you guys want to follow me on Instagram, I love social media, but I'm not like, my life is not about followers, which it was like 2 years ago, and I was like, wait, that doesn't make any sense for me. So, but I have gotten a lot of clients off of it. So it's at Jessica Geezy. And then we'll go through this real quick. Okay. Come up to the front, it's a little easier. So lighting, I mean, it is the most, I'm just going to reiterate that, it is the most important part. You get a window or doorway, not too blown out. Got it? Next. Don't put anything in the sun, ever. So, I mean, I really would love to just challenge you to get a bowl of cherries and just go around and figure out your light. I do this in my house. I know it sounds crazy, but like, I will go in the morning to my front door. I'll go to my office in the afternoon, and I'll go to the back room. Actually, I wish I could show y'all, but I have this kitchen that's got only one window in it, and I didn't know. I thought surely this is not going to be good lighting, and I took a picture, and it was like, what? It was beautiful. It was a tiny little window. I was across the room, and it was great light. You have it in your house. I mean, it's totally available to you. You always want to clean your area first. Everybody got it? Okay. And just, again, with the angles, get into the rhythm. Get into the rhythm of what works for you. Boom, 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 boom. Move to the side. Boom, 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 boom. Post-process. Every account is different. Again, I only use structure, sharpness, and maybe 10% of a filter, which essentially all that does is like raise my shadows a little bit. But that edit feature in your Instagram is extremely important, and you can do so many things with it rather than just tapping into your filter. You're not limited. And this is just a cheat sheet. Yay! Any more questions? Anyone? No? All right. One more. Where did I put it? Oh, here it is. But go back. Yep.
One thing that I noticed is you didn't avoid whites. You don't tell your clients, hey, white is really hard to photograph. Or do you find that problems?
So, oh, I'm gonna get away from this thing. Thank you. So, which one were you referring? Like that? So, if that didn't have the drizzle, I would not photograph it on it. But there's a line, and composition is a whole other story. I can just tell you to do thirds, like shoot in thirds. If you want to Google that, it's pretty interesting. But our lines, that is a line that's leading up. So the egg is leading down, and the line is leading up, and it's almost like a circle. If that wasn't there, and a lot of the challenges is that's for Rosella on the Rand, and they have a great chef over there named Rafa, and he puts out beautiful dishes, but they're hard to photograph. So that's what comes into when you're photographing a dish. That's why you go wide, medium, and close, because you don't know what the best angle is going to be. And it took me forever to figure out. I was like, how am I going to get that? But it's usually whatever they have available. I'm a big fan of like parchment paper, brown and white. Let's see if I can see. Oh, you know what else is really fun? So this bottom one right here is at this bar called Hanzo. And they have these really slick countertops, and if you got down on this level, you could see the lights reflected I mean, that's just so fun and so cool. Little things like that. I've done a lot of like light reflection in the back. Let me see what else I can talk about. People love seeing other people's hands and stuff. I do too. So I got one of the wait staff to come over and squeeze a lemon for me. I mean, it's one of those things where you kind of got to get over asking people for help because they love it. They love it. They love, helping out and being in the photo. Let's see. Yeah. Not good. This is on the grass outside of the Pearl. I was just like, okay, I've seen a million photos of juices lined up. Like, what? And then I saw this grass, and I was like, that's cool. I'm just going to throw some juice on the grass. And people, there was a lot of people walking by like, oh, you're at it again. What are you doing? I'm like, don't worry about it. Don't worry.
I have a shave ice truck, and I'm always wanting to take pictures inside the truck.
Mm-hmm.
My walls are stainless steel, and the countertop is stainless steel. It's really hard with the reflection. What are your suggestions?
Go outside.
Oh, it's ice. You're looking
I know.
at ice.
Or you could do it, do you guys park your truck anywhere near your house?
I mean, I can park it. Well, typically, where I'm in an event and I will create something for a client and it's spectacular, I've got to take it right then and there.
Is it in a cup?
Yes.
I would get a light box They have one on Amazon for like $120, and I use it all the time. It folds, and it's got one light in it. And this is pretty quick. I mean, you could put some backdrops in there, but essentially it's a box, and it creates your light for you. You pop it in there, and it's like the most beautiful lit product shot ever. And it's real fast. But I mean, it doesn't have that environment, that kitchen environment feel, which is fine. I mean, if you're just looking to showcase what you did, then I think that's perfect. Because and the light it's LED, so it doesn't give off heat. Oh, it's Amazon Prime. I'm not even supposed to say that. I work for HEB. Don't tell anybody. Well, go on Favor. We're delivering beer and wine. Anybody else have any questions? One more. I'm just kidding. You can ask a million questions.
It's just a formality at this point, right, with the mic.
Yeah.
Saucy dishes.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are rough. Sauce on the side, always. Dressing, sauce on the side. I'll do it myself, or I'll ask the chef to do it at the table. Let me see if I have. Ugh, I can't get over this. So this one right here, this is its signature restaurant here. Chef Andrew Wiseman, he's like the bomb. He can like read my mind. So he'll set his dish up, bring it to the table, plop it down. I'll move it to where I want it, and then he brings his own, ladle and what's it called, pan, and he will sauce it at the table. And a lot of the times people will tell me, I'll say to them in my initial phone call, don't push dishes out at me. I'll tell you when I'm ready, yada yada yada. But I've been where they've given me 7 at once, and I'm like, I just refuse to do it. I'm like, you don't want your stuff to look like that. So sauce on the side makes everything better, especially with greens. They can wilt really fast, and anything hot, any hot sauce that you're putting on a cold dish, not good. So yeah, sauce on the side. Yeah. I can't hear you. I like that top.
Thank you. Your classes,
Yes.
do you offer those?
Yes. So, as it was said earlier, I just got hired on at HEB, which is incredible, and I love them. So it's go time right now, but I'm hoping that I will be offering one-off classes in the fall. The 6-week course is a little bit much for me to do now that I have full-time over there, but they're really awesome. So what I do is I have a lot of connections locally, and the chefs let me come in and do the work for free. They provide food and drinks for the students, and we get to take photos of them. So we go through, I have one on lighting, one on composition, and that's as far as I got before I got hired on, but I'm planning on more in the fall. So if you want to just DM me, is that what they call it? There you go. DM me, or you can email me. My website is jessicageezy.com, and my email is contact@jessicageezy.com, and just stay tuned. I'll probably announce one in the fall. I've had a lot of people ask for that, so it's really fun. It's not that expensive, and you get to eat really good food, talk to the chefs, and like geek out with photos for like an hour and a half. So it's awesome. All right, you guys, I think that's it. Thanks. Yay! Feel free to eat any of this. I can't take it all home, so if you guys want some food, but not these. These are potpourri. Did I go over?